Huawei here is a danger to Australia, and today I'm going to be pitching my reasons for this. But before we get started, make sure you click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on anything. I've also got an Instagram if you want to follow me there as well. Now, I'm out the front of Huawei, the disgraced telecommunications giant. Recently has been banned from 5 countries, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK and the US, from providing any sort of 5G network. Huawei's CFO has been arrested in Canada. They're very scared about the Americans getting hold of this CFO because she's part of the Chinese Communist Party. And they have just started arresting Americans, and 3 Canadians have been arrested in retaliation. Recently I uploaded a video talking about Serpent ZA possibly being arrested. I was wrong about that, but China has gone on the offensive and started just arresting random people. Now, this is Huawei in Australia, and Huawei, in my opinion, is a danger to Australian society. Huawei is what they call a national champion. See, there's also a law which connects this company with the Chinese Communist Party. Any information that this company gathers can be given and is given on a regular basis to the Chinese Communist Party. So this company is in fact working for the Chinese Communist Party. And this is in Sydney, Australia. This is the headquarters of Huawei in Australia. There's a website called Glassdoor. If you're an employee of Huawei, you can anonymously put up reviews of what goes on inside. So I thought Glassdoor would be have some valuable information for all of us to find out what is really going on inside there. So let me read out a couple. It is a Chinese company with some international presence. Westerners are tolerated at best. Management are not experts in their assigned projects. Even more, they don't seem to be interested in developing skills. Lack of access to information if you're not Chinese. I think that says a lot. No development or learning or career paths. Never ever. And you can see the highlighted part there. Says, forget about multicultural environment. There is only one culture, the Chinese culture. In a way, I think this one is saying that this is not a multicultural company that comes to another country and hires the locals and gives them a fair go and cares about diversity. It's more that it's a foreign company that has invaded your country. Management treat Chinese better than other races. Okay, yep. If you speak Chinese, it's a plus. If you're mainland Chinese, you'll have more benefits like meals, accommodation, housing, allowance. I guess this person from Manila is saying that if you're not Chinese, you get treated poorly. Only favors certain types of employees. I wonder who they are. If you are not Chinese, you are not considered. Discrimination again. If you are not Chinese, no salary reviews, same thing. In higher positions, there's only Chinese, yes, because the higher positions are dominated by the Chinese Communist Party. Different treatment of Chinese nationals and local employees. For technologies, new edge technologies are only shared with the Chinese nationals. That's in Canada, by the way. No growth path for non-Chinese employees, yes. Discrimination, I'm seeing a pattern here. They discriminate against the locals. So they establish a company in your country and then they don't actually look after the locals. There's no respect for non-Chinese employees, discrimination to local employees, Chinese racism in every imaginable aspect. Whoa, this is in Russia. This is interesting. Even the Russians are getting annoyed with China. Biased against non-Chinese employees. That's in the UK. The UK is really naive to Asia. I gotta say that. They have no idea about Asia at all. But they seem to be waking up by the looks of that. Local employees used to be puppets or slaves. No career prospects unless you're from Chinese headquarters. No respect for non-Chinese. Okay, if you were, oh, this is in Australia. If you were an Aussie and spoke English, you would only be there for a short time. And that means that this one review came from this one here. If you are a Chinese national with an overly inflated view of your own self-worth, then Huawei has a lot to offer, okay? Non-Chinese are second-class employees. Might be difficult to work if you are non-Chinese. It encourages diversity to strengthen company capabilities. We all know what that means. It goes back to the same thing. They discriminate against locals. Reception. Stop focusing on buying properties in Australia. That's interesting. I didn't know that they were buying properties in Australia. You know, that's something for the economists out there to have a look at. How many properties is this company making money purely to buy properties for the Chinese Communist Party in order to gain more traction in Australia? Because this is very interesting, this one. Discrimination against non-Chinese in this company is everywhere. Oh, that's the one in Sydney. Biased treatment against locals. Chinese-only meetings happen frequently with the exclusion of local Aussie non-Chinese employees. Local hire not valued. Overrun by Chinese expats. Okay, you get the gist of it, right? It's offensive to everybody that believes in multiculturalism and equality for everybody. You see, in companies in Australia, the CEOs are now being told that they need to hit diversity targets. So if you are of Australian descent, you're an Aussie, you have risen through the ranks, you've got to a point where you're trying to build your career up, you're trying to climb the ranks as high as you can. You can get to a point where the CEO will say, look, I need to hit diversity targets, so the CEO gets a bonus. And then the CEO will say, okay, well, I'm not gonna give this Aussie guy, I'm not gonna give him a promotion. I'm gonna give it to, say, an immigrant to Australia to promote equality, right? What the CEO is doing is they're boosting their back pocket by getting a bonus, by hitting their diversity targets. But what the CEO is also saying is that the family of this Aussie employees, this family is less important than the immigrant's family, you see? And I believe that's pretty good because it's equality, I believe inequality. But equality breaks down when you have companies like this that do not allow the same equality to happen within their companies as well. Now, what's Fair Work doing about it? What's any of the government organisations doing about this? Probably nothing, because their bark is far more powerful than their bite. So what I'm seeing now is if you're an Aussie that has worked hard to get good qualifications, worked hard in a company to try and climb the corporate ladder, you've got to a point and you're trying to provide for your family, and then the diversity targets hit you, so you can't rise any higher because the diversity targets want to promote immigrants from other countries. So you've reached the dead end in your company. But on the other hand, you have companies like this popping up, which are Chinese Communist Party run companies that are not upholding the ethical standards that we like to enjoy here in Australia today. It means that the most discriminated against person is the Australian person's family. So think about it. This person's worked so hard their whole life to try and provide for their family. Then they've hit a white ceiling, I like to call it, and they cannot raise any higher. Therefore, they don't have that extra funds to provide their children with a good education. So then the next generation of Aussies are disadvantaged as well. Whereas over here, we have a big company like Huawei that only promotes Chinese people to the top. They're part of the Chinese Communist Party. So this type of protectionist behavior, this is what I'm trying to get at here, is this type of protectionist behavior is in fact a affront to equality and multiculturalism and everything that we hold dear in Australia. Not to mention the fact that Chinese run around Australia complaining that they're not being treated fairly when their national champion is actively discriminating against Australians within Australia and all Western countries, Have a look at Glassdoor. You can see that they're discriminating against Russians even, and they're supposed to be their best friends. Obviously not. Discrimination happens amongst friends if you're part of the Chinese Communist Party, apparently. So this company is dangerous, not just because it doesn't help Australian people in any way, shape or form. No Australian people can rise through the ranks in this company, so why the hell do we have this bloody company in Australia? And also the fact that we have diversity targets in other Australian companies which promote equality and everything that's good in our society, that will start to decline, because this is a race to the bottom. That means that other companies within Australia will start to become more protectionist, because if they realize they can't raise to the top in this company, they're going to become more protectionist in their own company. They're going to hire their own people. We're going to go back into tribalism and all these things that we hate, and all these things that caused World War II and caused all the drama in the past. You see, this is a race to the bottom. I'm sure you guys were aware of this scientist in China who decided to alter the DNA of unborn children. You see, this is illegal in Western countries, but if these evil Chinese scientists that are doing really bad things, they're able to get away with this, there will also be a race to the bottom in science in Western countries as well, because if they have breakthroughs by breaking all of these laws, next thing you know, Western companies will be experimenting on unborn children as well. The Chinese Communist Party just released that they have developed a new bomb. It's not quite a nuclear bomb, the biggest normal bomb ever made, and it is the smallest, so it can be held on a usual size jet fighter. You see, this is a race to the bottom as well. The fact that the South China Sea has been militarized. See, now we have to build up our military. If you have a look at the Australian dollar, it's been going down. It's because the Australian government, in my opinion, is printing money already to pay for our military expansion. There's a race to the bottom, not only in companies like this. There's a race to the bottom against equality. Protectionism is rising. There's a race to the bottom in weaponizing the world again. We're going back 100 years, people, and it is all because the Chinese Communist Party of equality, because of opening up borders, because of globalism. These are things that America promoted. Yet the Chinese Communist Party is not only at ground level like this, at all levels. They're promoting protectionism, which goes against everything about equality and everything that we stand for in this fair society we call Australia. Anything from Huawei you should not be buying. Anything from Vivo you should not be buying. Anything that is from a Chinese, they call it national champions. Now, you should not be buying anything from any of these companies, because they will use that money to destroy equality and destroy everything that we love in this country. Also, yes, I wanted to mention one more thing. When I was out the front of the Apple store, I was aware of this. I was aware of what was going on with Huawei. I was aware of how Apple was in decline. I spent 11 days before my last hip replacement. I was in pain. I spent 11 days trying to promote Apple by living out the front of Apple, and the media wasn't ready for it. The people weren't aware of why I was really trying to do this. The first person in line to get the Apple iPhone, but I didn't buy the Apple iPhone. That didn't raise any eyebrows amongst anyone. The real reason why I was there, it wasn't there to buy an iPhone. I was there to promote Apple, because Apple was in decline, and Apple is a good company that has done a lot of good, not only for Australia, but it's done a lot of good for Western society, you see. So that's why I waited out there. I spent 11 days out there trying to promote the new iPhone, and the media wasn't ready. But now I'm starting to speak up about not only this company, but the Chinese Communist Party. It's because the rest of you are starting to wake up a little bit. And I've been on this for a while, but sometimes you can't say things until the rest of society is ready to accept it.
The real answer is Huawei is best, bro. Huawei, just buy the Huawei. support my country, China forever, long life, China. No reason,
Why?
no answer. Just is bad. No reason.
I like the fact now that people are starting to wake up to the dangers not only of Huawei but the Chinese Communist Party and all these other problems. And 2019 to me is a year where I'm just going to straight up tell you what I think. I'm not going to come up with these convoluted ways of getting my point across. I'm just going to say it how it is. And this company's dodgy, upper management's dodgy. Don't buy anything from Huawei. It's run by the Chinese Communist Party and it's dangerous for Australian society. So if you like this video, make sure you click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on anything. I've also got a Patreon if you want to support me there, and I've also got an Instagram if you want to follow me there as well. Don't let fear stop ya.
Let loose!